Hi, everybody, and welcome to another EBTV sports presentation. It is Thanksgiving Day, and we are here at J. Doyle Field in East Brunswick, where the Bears football team will take on Old Bridge in a Greater Middlesex Conference Red Division game. Hi, I'm Jimmy Allinder, being joined by our guest commentator today, former South River assistant coach, now the assistant coach at Monroe Township High School, Ray Ruez. Ray, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Okay, well, Thanksgiving Day. A high school football game on Thanksgiving is a little bit different. There's a lot more people in the stands, generally speaking. It's a time where it can make a season for a team that's not doing well. You've been involved in these sort of classics before, having been with South River. What's your thoughts on playing on Thanksgiving Day?
Thanksgiving Day is all about the seniors, your last shot, whether you have a good record or whether you have a bad record. Your chance to go off, in the blaze of glory, and you'll always remember this. You'll go to your grave. You'll tell your grandchildren, your kids all about the game.
Well, today is a chance for a lot of wrongs to be righted, particularly for East Brunswick. This is a team that comes into this game at 0-9. East Brunswick's never had a winless season, so there's a lot at stake for the Bears today. Meanwhile, Old Bridge comes in at 7-3, and another 10 days from now, they're going to be playing for the Central Jersey Group 4 Championship. Two teams in opposite directions. Can we expect a game today?
You never know. You can expect a game because, again, Old Bridge could take them lightly. East Brunswick, it's their last game in front of their home crowd. They don't want to go out winless. Obviously, Old Bridge has a better team, but you have two fantastic coaches. They've been around the conference for a long time. It could be a good game. And again, momentum could wear different colors at any moment, depending on turnovers, too.
And talking about those coaches, Bob DeMarco, one of the premier coaches in the state of New Jersey now, as well as East Brunswick coach Marcus Borden, who's always been at the top as far as organization and support for high school football in the state of New Jersey. Right now, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back with the kickoff right after this. All right, everybody, we are back at J. Doyle Field on a beautiful Thanksgiving Day. East Brunswick is going to be taking on Old Bridge. But first, this is as we mentioned up on top, that this is the seniors' final game. So as a tradition at East Brunswick, what they do is announce the names of the players along with the parents. And you see Frank Knoppenberger down there scurrying around, letting the folks in the press box know that it's okay to start. So what we're doing here is looking at the parents. I think we're going to start with the cheerleaders, varsity cheerleaders. And I believe, let's see, that one in front is Megan Conrad. And she is escorted by her parents, Joanne and Gary. All right, the next one is Jennifer Kang, K-A-N-G. She is escorted by her parents, Andrew and Hay Sook. Also, Megan Lawrence, escorted by her parents, Joanne and Alex. Then Rachel Lowen, escorted by her parents, Barbara and Gary. And finally, Elena Rosenblatt, escorted by her father, Robert. Now we have the Bear here listed, but I'm not sure that Marcin Oakman. No, we're going to move right on to the seniors. All righty. The first one is Brian Assini, who is escorted by parents Margaret and Richard. Next you have is Rob Badillo, escorted by Mother Isabel Badillo. I'm making this assumption it's mom. I'm not necessarily sure about that. Greg Belials, escorted by Mary and Greg. Christian Gonzalez, escorted by Walter and Herminia. This is Marissa Greenstein, escorted by Marlene and George. Vincent Janowski, escorted by Terry and Andy. You've got Christine McManus, escorted by Myra and Henry. These, of course, are assistant trainers. Michael Rossi, escorted by Terry and Albert. You've got Ryan Schmidt, escorted by David and Gina. Danny Schuberth, escorted by Richard and Nancy. Akil Simon, escorted by Harriet and John. Jill Steiner, escorted by Elaine and Ed. Brian Toady, escorted by Mike and Deborah. Dmitry Zagoff, escorted by Alex and Regina. And finally, Ken Weintraub, escorted by Eric and Mary Lou. Okay, this is Rob Badillo right here, escorted by Isabel Badillo. So those are the seniors, their parents. This is a game that they will remember for the rest of their lives, and they're given their due congratulations from the East Brunswick community. All right, we will take a short break, and we will be back with the kickoff after this. Back here at J. Doyle Field, where you're looking at Old Bridge dressed in their road whites. East Brunswick on the near side of the field in their home green. As we mentioned, a number of these players will be wearing this uniform for the last time. Old Bridge, of course, will have its Central Jersey Group 4 final at J.P. Stevens on December 1st. That'll be another meeting between those two teams. I believe that Stevens won the game like in the last second or so. This Old Bridge team is a formidable team, and they will be kicking off, and that'll be Anthony DePalma. You'll be reading a lot about him, hearing a lot about him. Brandon Nolan is one of their feature backs. He's on the far right. And deep for East Brunswick is number 19. That is Kenny Weintraub, and get his number there. That's number 26. There's the kickoff, and a good sliding tackle. We don't have number 26 listed, unfortunately, but I know that's Doug Field. So East Brunswick will start off. 1st and 10, just inside its own 20-yard line. Extremely tough defense by Old Bridge, coached by Bob DeMarco. On offense, you'll see them in the classic wishbone. Quarterback for East Brunswick, number 1, Mark Mariski, who is a junior. Mariski is going to pass, gives it to Weinrob, who has it, and he is immediately gang tackled. That was Gerard Horan on the tackle. It's going to be a speed game. What do you think, Ray?
They have to. I don't think they match up with the size. They're going to have to try for the quick screens, quick hitters, things like that.
Right.
Later on, they'll probably set you up with what's called a double screen off that, a double pass.
Yeah, you can see the difference in size on the line. You got some big boys there for Old Bridge. Number 98, Sean O'Keefe. Check that. That's number 95. There's a give up the middle. Nice run.
Nice run.
I believe that was Zagoff. Dmitry Zagoff, a senior. Good size will give him a gain of 7 yards on that play. So it'll be 3rd and 3. Going to have to keep this Old Bridge team guessing. Ball on the 27-yard line.
Get a wishbone set.
And looks like they've got him. That carry was by number 27, Brian Ackerman. And East Brunswick, in its first possession, is forced to punt. Phil will be the punter for East Brunswick, and deep is number 1, Brandon Nolan, and number 3, Anthony DePalma. So Nolan and DePalma, these are 2 scat backs, and East Brunswick would do well not to kick to either of these guys if possible. Good snap. Low kick. It's going to bounce. And all things considered, that was about as good as East Brunswick could expect. No run back. Ball lands on about the 45-yard line, so the Knights will take over 1st and 10, and this will be our opportunity to see this team. Got some huge players for Old Bridge.
Right off the bat, broken bone.
This is Oliveri at quarterback. Gives to Nolan. Boy, does he have room. And he is off to the races. Wow.
Wow.
There's not much to be said about that except perfect execution. Brandon Nolan, a 55-yard touchdown, first play from scrimmage for Old Bridge. And right away, the Knights take a 6-0 lead, going for extra point. And DePalma, who may bring out the water as well, he does everything else, will be kicking for the extra point. Kick is good. So with, it's going to be a little tough to see the clock today, but it looks to be 9:28 remaining in the first quarter.
I noticed they caught East Brunswick. They went unbalanced with a slot. That means they put, there were only 2 men to the backside, and they tossed to the open end.
Right, so it was just a matter of personnel being in the wrong position.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
they got a nice seal block from the wide receiver, and Nolan was off to the races.
Right. Well, in some respects, East Brunswick is going to have to play a guessing game defensively. They're just going to have to just take the chance of maneuvering its personnel. And that time they got burned. So we're in the position where we were not more than 2.5 minutes ago, and that's Old Bridge kicking off to the Bears. My apologies for not knowing who number 26 is, but he is not listed in our program. DePalma will kick off for the Knights. That's a good kick. Deep. Weinrob actually drops the ball back on his own 2, so he is in trouble. And lassoed back at the 10-yard line. Met there first.
98.
Yep. 98 is Sean O'Keefe. Check that. That's Robert Allen, a 6 foot, 215-pound sophomore. We've heard some things about Robert Allen being a quality player as a sophomore, and right away you see how his speed.
You see, he starts on defense. He's one of the defensive ends.
Yes, he is. Mariski calling signals for East Brunswick. Bears are back on their own 10-yard line. Old Bridge 7-0 lead so far, and there's a give up the middle to Zago, and he goes nowhere.
East Brunswick tried to open you up that time. They went with a 4-receiver look and 1 setback, and they just tried to trap to the weak side. They got nothing.
Going to give a loss of 1 on that play, making it 2nd and 11. Also on the line, Tim Davis, number 76, a 6'2", 240-pound senior. We'll get some of the East Brunswick players as we're going. Maritsky, pitch to the right side. Give us to number 27. That is Brian Ackerman. And Ackerman barely gets back to the line of scrimmage. They'll actually maybe gain 2 on that play, so we're going to make it 3rd and 9.
That was almost a mirror of Old Bridge's play. They went with a bone backfield with a tight end split on the same side. They tried to toss to the field, but didn't work out for them.
All right, Maritsky back in a shotgun. 3rd down, he's going to throw. And scrambling, gets away, and hit real hard. Nice recovery tackle there. That was by 33. Mike Rizzo, a 5'11", 185-pound senior. And actually, that was no gain. And East Brunswick again will be in a punting situation, this time deep in its own territory. So you have those 2 backs, Nolan and De Palma, deep for the Knights. File will be kicking. 7:24 left to go in the first quarter of play. Old Bridge out in front, 7-0. File gets a kick. Nolan has it. He dances and is brought down just about at the 33-yard line.
Number 35?
Yeah, 35. And that is that's Sagov. East Brunswick does have a few young players. You see the middle linebacker there, Ernie Fusco, a 5'9", 184-pound sophomore, is calling signals for the defense. And he's going to be a good one. Oliveria quarterback. There's an end around given to De Palma. Let's see him use his speed. He gets around that end, and he has a clear seam to the end zone. 2 plays, 2 touchdowns for Old Bridge.
33 yards.
33-yard touchdown.
It was the same exact formation to the field.
Was it?
They faked a dive, they faked a pitch to Nolan, and came around for reverse.
That touchdown coming at 6:58, I believe. Okay. The Knights will again go for the extra point. Palmer puts it through, makes the touchdown, kicks the extra point. And the Knights out to a 14-0 lead. Wow, this is a well-oiled unit right here, I would tell you.
Absolutely. I haven't had the opportunity to see Old Bridge. I'm impressed.
You know, you don't get to Central Jersey Group 4 final without having some horses, and this team definitely has some horses.
I believe early in the year, didn't they lose some very close games? Like
Yeah.
the Piscataway, the Stevens? You know?
Right. Stevens, Piscataway.
They might have even lost to Cerebral, but I'm not sure.
But I'll tell you what, something started clicking, and I have a feeling it's some of these younger players. De Palma and Nolan are both juniors. Hard to believe. They're really not a senior-dominated club when you think about it. Same can be said for East Brunswick. So De Palma will kick off again. We know that Weinrob is one of the deep backs. However, it's going to number 26, and that was in the sun. And he did well just to pick up that ball before being tackled. Again, it was that sophomore Allen that was down there first. And East Brunswick starting deep in its own territory once more, 1st and 10. Ball resting on the 15-yard line. And a timeout call by East Brunswick. Not sure why. I know why. There's 12 players on the field. So you see one player leave the field for the Bears. Ray, what do you think thus far? What is East Brunswick going to have to do to get some offense here?
Their only opportunity was when they spread them out, they tried to run inside. They're going to have to stick with a game plan and hope that they could at least get something from it, because the option offense is geared by, it's all set up by your original dive play.
Right.
And actually they're only, I mean, they've been 3 and out, 2 possessions. Their one big play was their dive to number 35 for 7 yards. It looks like they're grasping now. They're trying to spread the offense. Right now they're lining up in a, what we call a slot loose. 2 receivers to one side and spread into the other side.
All right, quarterback Mark Maritsky. Give up the middle is to Zagoff. He has a little bit of running room.
He called that a belly play. The halfback led him into the hole to the left.
Right. That's a gain of 5 yards on the play, making it 2nd and 5. You mentioned that everything starts with that dive play. Why is that?
They're all packaged. Like right there, they went motion. Now they have the belly. Next, they can do a play called a belly pass, where they fake that play action. And they have something called a belly keep, where they can fake the belly, and he runs option and pitches to that back in motion. And they got to read their keys, Ulbridge, and as long as they read their keys, they'll be okay.
Okay, now who particular? Well, we'll talk about this in a second. 2nd and 5. Maritsky elects
there's dive option
to kick it, keep it himself, and is going to be thrown for a loss. Is it the linebackers that have prime responsibility for reading these keys, or what?
No. Every guy has a job.
Yeah.
Usually your tackle and inside linebacker stop dive, your end or edge players, your outside backer, your end, one will have quarterback, one will have option, the pitch man. And your main key in that offense is to look at the near back. If he comes straight ahead, it's usually run. If he, what they call arc releases, that's usually some kind of pass or option.
All righty. It is a loss of 2 on the play, making it 3rd and 7. So East Brunswick still looking for its first down. Maritsky is going to pass it, and open, caught by number 27. That's Ackerman, and East Brunswick gets the first down. That was good movement by the Bears. Advances the ball up to the 40-yard line. And that's the type of play that East Brunswick is going to have to run today.
That was a play action. He faked one way and rolled the other way. They call it bootleg or waggle.
That was a gain of about 20 yards on that play. Down to 5 minutes left to go in the first quarter. Ulbridge with a 14-0 lead already. Maritsky going to pass again. Caught by Wanrob, and gets a gain of about 7 yards. Tackled by Scarano and Jenko.
That time they spread them out with 4 receivers again. They only got 1 man in the backfield.
All right, Weinrob is looking at the official. Not sure why. Head official is Kenny Totten. Long time official. From Ulbridge, by the way. All righty, 2nd and 4. Maritsky elects to, no, sorry. Good fake there by number 50. Caught me. That's Janowski that got the ball. Now, obviously, as wearing number 50, he must be eligible. And that's, I think, what Maritsky said to the official.
Number 50 carried the ball. You can carry the ball wearing 50, 60, or 70, but you can't be thrown to downfield.
Okay. Another first down for East Brunswick, advancing the ball into the Ulbridge 34-yard line. Under 4 minutes to play in the first quarter. 14-0 Old Bridge. Maritsky, good deception. Oh!
Had the man open.
And down on the field after that hit was Ackerman. I think he thought he had an open field, but was nailed. And I see the official pointing to a leg. Injuries are always tough. Ackerman, a junior. So we have a timeout on the field here. These two teams have only been playing the Thanksgiving rivalry since 1994, and that incidentally was the first and only time the Bears had beaten Old Bridge in a Thanksgiving Day contest. They play for something called the Route 18 Trophy, but the Knights have run off victories ever since in fairly convincing fashion. The last two games actually have been shutouts. Last year, the Knights won 21-0. In '99, it was 14-0. So actually, when we see Ackerman up but limping around, they have the cart for him. I do not know how debilitating that injury is. We'll see if Ackerman is able to return. So '98 is the last time that the Bears have been able to put points on the board against its opponent. But what I wanted to say, Ray, is that these teams have been involved in classic battles during the Central Jersey Group 4 championships.
Absolutely.
And I'll talk about one in particular after this play. So it is 2nd and 10 after the incompleted pass for East Brunswick.
3 receivers to the right.
Maritsky tries to squeeze through, almost loses the handle. And that was probably because number 33, Rizzo, was able to grasp him. So maybe a loss on the play of 1 yard. If you look at the stands, it's a great crowd. As you normally expect on Thanksgiving Day, the Old Bridge side is almost packed. You have a good-sized crowd here at East Brunswick. 3rd and 11 for the Bears.
4 receivers to one side, shotgun right here.
And it looks like a timeout was called. I'm not quite sure why. Ray, it seems obvious that it's the misdirection that'll work for the Bears, and they're going to have to use the run only occasionally, because the Knights have been able to siphon that off. What I want to talk about was in 1988. That was really one of the classic battles. Perhaps the best team Old Bridge ever fielded was this 1988 undefeated team, quarterbacked by Walsh.
Walsh.
Okay, who we all know.
Eddie Walsh.
Right.
Probably the best high school option quarterback I've seen. And didn't East Brunswick have was that the Fortes year?
Yes, it was. And I want to tell you, that team came in and put a 55-3 licking on East Brunswick.
I was at that game. That's one of the ones.
All right, so we do have a 3rd and 11 for
We're in shotgun here, 3 receivers to the wide side.
Maritsky. Going to throw it. Lofts it down the middle.
Oh.
He had an open receiver.
Number 22.
Yeah, that was Bellis. And it is an incomplete pass. And at this part of the field, you have to believe that East Brunswick's going to go for it on a 4th down.
Yes, they're on the 30. They're on the 35-yard line.
Mm-hmm. Well, it does look like East Brunswick is getting some receivers open, so it's a matter of Maritsky getting some time to throw and connecting with his receivers.
I wonder if all the passing attempts could be because they lost one of their main running backs, like 27, Ackerman, who's still sitting on the sideline there.
Right. Zagoff is actually one of their prime backs. Okay, Maritsky in the shotgun.
4 receivers again, 2 wide to each side.
Look like the Knights are coming. Yeah, you can see that happening.
Oh, middle linebacker came free.
Yeah,
Rizzo.
Rizzo.
He didn't make the hit, but he caused the quarterback to scramble.
Right. And that disruption was enough to slow down Maritsky, tackle made by Allen, and now you have the Bears turning over the ball with 2:47 left to go in the first quarter. Remember, Old Bridge has run 2 offensive plays, and each time they've gone for touchdowns.
Same set again.
Okay, let's see what happens here. There's
Same
the
play,
pitch.
the first play.
There it is. And this time they stop him.
Number 11 on the tackle.
You got that, Danolenko. Gain of 3 on the play. Making it 2nd and 7. The ball rests on the 45-yard line of Old Bridge. Looks like the ends are going to be very important for the Bears. They're going to have to really stop that. Up the middle. Tough run. That was Scarano, who we've seen in the defensive backfield. About a 10-yard gain on that play. Good for the first down. We're under 2 minutes to play in the first quarter between Old Bridge and East Brunswick. The Knights out to a 14-0 lead. And Oliveri, quarterback. Lofts one deep, and that's DePalma with it. Couldn't quite get under it. DePalma, the feature receiver as well. Let's see, he kicks extra points, he kicks off, he receives punts. He's a running back.
Yeah, he ran.
And he catches passes.
Mr. Everything.
Right, and he's a junior. 5'10", listed as 5'10", 145 pounds too. Interesting. So it is a 2nd and 10 for Old Bridge. Up the middle. Give this to Scarano. Gets a couple.
+3.
Third and, well, I believe it's 2nd down, is it not?
No,
oh, no, I'm
third.
sorry, it is 3rd. Yeah, you're right.
Completed pass.
Okay, 3rd and 7.
We might see a punt.
All very Colin signals for Old Bridge. Keeps it himself. Looks to the right, and they're going to grab him. That was a good tackle by number 44, Joe Alexander. And we have a 4th down situation for the Knights.
4th and 4. That was a 3-yard gain.
Meanwhile, the clock continues to tick. We are about 30 seconds left to go in the first quarter. It's been a long first quarter.
Well, they're going for it.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Oliveri's going to pass it. Scrambles and interception. That is Fusco, the sophomore linebacker, was in the right place. Didn't quite get who the name of that player was that caused that errant pass by Oliveri.
No, he was hit just as he threw it. He had to scramble out of the pocket.
Right. So the interception by Fusco gives the Bears a 1st down on the 36-yard line, and they do stop Old Bridge on that drive. Remember, East Brunswick has had some good success throwing the ball. And the give is up the middle. This is a new face, number 81. That's Akil Simon. We've seen him before in the backfield, but this is the first time today that his number's been called.
That's 7.
Gain of 7 on the play, right. And that is the end of the first quarter of play. So the score is Old Bridge 14, East Brunswick nothing. The Bears are driving, however. The ball's on their own 45-yard line. And showing a little gumption here, Ray. I mean, you get down 14-0, sometimes, you know, you start to go, especially with an 0-9 club.
Absolutely.
You know, you start to say, oh, well, here we go again. Why play this game? But to the Bears' credit, they are keeping it going.
That's the Bears and their staff keeping these kids up.
Yeah. East Brunswick coach Marcus Board, long-time coach, as we mentioned. Last week in the consolation game, East Brunswick went over to Marlborough and lost a 26-20 game.
Well, you know East Brunswick can move the ball. They play in a division that was loaded this year with, you know,
Oh, yes.
Cerevel, Piscataway, J.P. Stevens. All these teams have players.
Yeah, this happens to be the good year for the GMC Red. You've got the two GMC Red teams in the Central Jersey Group 4 final. That says a lot. There's a pitch to number 26. All right, I'll listen to the PA announcer. All right, I'm trying to see if I can get his name, and once we do, heard him say Lello? Rob Lello?
Rob something.
Yeah, we're going to get that at halftime. Again, I apologize. We do not have it.
It is 3rd and
This is.
2. He picked up 5 on that.
Right.
Excuse me, he picked up.
Pitch right to Lello. And can't turn the corner.
Great tackle by number 9.
Ray, East Brunswick's down 14-0. They have the ball, and they're about the 45-yard line. They need a yard. I imagine you have to punt the ball now, right?
You got to punt.
Yeah.
You don't want to light their fuse anymore. If they're going to score, you want to make them work for it. Who knows? They could mishandle the punt.
Now, File, number 25, is their kicker, and I'm looking for him on the field, and I do not see him. So it is possible that they're going to go for this, and that they are.
Yes,
they're
they
lined
are.
up that way.
Yes, they are.
You would figure that Zagoff, the
3 receivers to the wide side. Straight hand.
Nope,
Makes the
risky it is.
handoff. Quarterback kept it on an option. He picks up a block from 19. He could go.
And Mark Mariski with a real nice run there. You think maybe Old Bridge was caught with not having the right defense out there in preparation for that?
Possibly.
25-yard gain on the play. And East Brunswick is now in Old Bridge territory. Ball is on the 35-yard line. First down for the Bears. Old Bridge defense spread out. What do we got here? The old pickup play by the center.
Same play from before.
And we see our first flag of the afternoon. I wonder what that's all about. You think the officials are not going to buy it?
All right, well,
Did you
can't
see
tell.
that play, Ray?
It looked like the play that before that number 50 picked up. It used to be the old Fumble-Rooski play.
Yeah, well, actually, the quarterback simply just touched the ball and then took off without it, and it just laid there for about a minute. And then number 50, Janowski, picks the ball up and starts to run with it. Now, let's see what the call is.
He earlier had a 20-yard gain with something like that.
Right. I imagine they're going to say illegal procedure. No, actually, it's a holding penalty. So the play was okay as it was run. However, a holding penalty will bring it back from the spot of the foul. So it's actually about a 6-yard loss on that.
1st and 16?
Yeah. East Brunswick pulling all the stops here. Mariski going to throw. He's got time. And overthrown, picked off by Scarano. He's got some room here. Up the side of the field and just tripped up by number 68. That was Campbell that made that tackle. A 29-yard return on an interception by Scarano for Old Bridge, and that snuffs out the drive for the Bears. Just a little overthrown, that pass.
He's had men open, but he's under a lot of pressure.
Right. So it is Old Bridge now that will be driving. Oliveri on the end around. I think they've got it very well played. A fumble. Let's see what happens here. And East Brunswick on the recovery. Who gets that ball? Looks like Weinrob comes up with it. East Brunswick played that very, very well.
Yes, they did. Number 11 made a great. He caused a fumble and had him for an 11-yard loss.
Okay. So the fumble is on the 28-yard line of Old Bridge. This is the best starting time for position for East Brunswick all day. Let's see if they can capitalize. Down to 9:52 left to go in the second quarter. Old Bridge with a 14-0 lead. Maritsky with it. And they nailed him. Who was that in the backfield?
98.
Wow. That is Allen, the sophomore. Boy, does he look dominant or what?
And he's only a sophomore. What a body. 6 foot 215.
He's got room to grow. We read about him coming into this game, but to see this guy, the quickness that he exhibits.
It looked like they were running option, but I'm not sure if it was predetermined. I'll mention that in a second.
4-yard loss, and Ackerman back in the game catches it and gets nailed again. Maybe got back to the original line of scrimmage. Actually got a yard of gain on that play. So it's 3rd down and 12, we'll call it.
What I mean by option is a true option team reads what they're going to give it, keep it, and run with it. It looked like the fullback was open, but he pulled the ball and kept it, so it might have been an automatic double option where he was going to either keep it or pitch it.
Okay. Shotgun formation, that's Mariski with the ball. He looks downfield and had that brief moment where he could have thrown it, but elected to keep it and was snuffed under by a host of players, including that number 98. Also in Haran. Loss on the play. Now it's 4th down. And East Brunswick's going to need about, I'd say about 19 yards for the first down.
Yes.
Ball being on the Old Bridge side of the field, the Bears are going to go for it. Again, Mariski in the shotgun. Pumps once, and down there, another interception. That is the same player that caught it before, Scarano. He's on the side of the field and is finally pushed out of bounds by the quarterback, Mariski. That was not disguised well.
No, Scarano played it very well.
Yeah,
very well.
He knew exactly where the ball was going to be and returns at 22 yards. So that opportunity for East Brunswick goes down the tubes. Scarano advances the ball up to his own 39-yard line. We've got 7:31 left to go in the second quarter of play. Old Bridge with a 14-0 lead. Oliveri's been in there all the way. However, we have a lineman jumping too soon. So that is the first penalty for Old Bridge. Going to make it 1st and 15. As Thanksgiving Day games go, this is not exactly the real chill that we sometimes get.
No, I think we've had the nicest fall I've seen in years. We have maybe 1 or 2 breezy days.
Really. First and 15, Oliveri gives up the middle, it looks like. Moves the pile forward. That is who? Wait. I think it was Scarano that
I
made
think it was
that catch.
Scarano, number
Yeah.
22. That was called a counter dive, where they fake one way and come back the other way, +3.
Gain of 3 on that play makes it 2nd and 12. And it looks like Oliveri's going to call a timeout on this play. Talked about some of the great games that we've seen through the years. Now, I might predate you on this one, but one of the classic Thanksgiving Day games I've ever seen was before this Old Bridge team became one. It was Madison Central and Cedar Ridge High School. And the Thanksgiving traditional game was always between Madison Central and Cedar Ridge. Well, back in 1973, the Cedar Ridge Cougars were going for an undefeated season. They did not play playoffs back then.
Finn was the quarterback.
Excuse me?
A kid named Finn.
John Finn was the quarterback, right. And there's a lot of other players that. Brian Gatson was one of their receivers. But they were going for the win, and Madison Township, or Central that year, wasn't particularly strong and came into that game 4-5, yet they had a lead going into the fourth quarter, and it took a 37-yard field goal with no time left. You see the player on Old Bridge move right there. Player by the name of Kyle Raymond kicked a field goal from 37 yards out as time expired to win the game and preserve the undefeated season for Cedar Ridge.
Wow.
It was a tremendous game, a lot of emotion. I also remember a great Thanksgiving contest between when East Brunswick was playing Colonia, and the Bears had a tremendous season that year. Steve Hughes was their quarterback, and was in a similar situation against Colonia, down, but yet a player, will pick up on this in a second. Oliveri, the left-handed quarterback, throws it incomplete, but player by the name of Kenny Pruss, who later went on to Vanderbilt University on a scholarship. He was a sophomore then and picked up an interception with about 40 seconds left to go in the game, and East Brunswick won the game to win that contest over Colonia. It was a tremendous game, tremendous Thanksgiving Day game. A lot of memories on these days.
Great
so
moments.
you have a 3rd and 17. Oliveri back to pass, lofts one high to Nolan, who, other than that first play, Ray, we haven't seen too much, but they may just be keeping the wraps on him because he's their key back.
I've got Nolan for 2 carries.
2 carries.
55 and 3 yards, and he was thrown to once.
Okay. So with that incompletion, it'll be a 4th down for Old Bridge, and you see, I believe this is the first time they punt today.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Clock shows about either 6 or 5:44 left to go in the second quarter. Old Bridge again, 14-0. After those first 2 plays from scrimmage, they've been sort of slowed down by East Brunswick. Oliveri does the kicking. Beautiful punt. Fielded by Lolello. Eludes one tackle, still on his feet, and finally driven out of bounds on about the 43-yard line. So East Brunswick hanging in there. If you just joined us, Old Bridge, after denying East Brunswick on its first drive, took the ball on its own 45-yard line, and Brandon Nolan scampered 55 yards at the 9:28 mark. And then on the next possession, first play from their own 33, from the East Brunswick 33, they scored again. This time it was De Palma. Maritzky has some room, elects to cut inside. Geez, I thought he had some room to the outside on that.
They closed very quickly.
Yeah, and Maritzky really hammered on that play too. We have another player for East Brunswick bending down there. It's a lineman. That's number 76, Korea. Maritzky gets 2 yards on that play, making it 2nd and 8. And now I have a clearer view of the clock, and it says 5:54 left to go in the second quarter.
4 receivers again.
Maritzky connects. Looks like Weinrob on the receiving end of that. Short of a first down, however.
I believe they're going to the 3-step because of the rush. They're just 1, 2, 3 steps in passing rather than a straight drop back.
Right. And when Maritzky has been in the shotgun, that has been somewhat of an adventure because the center snap has been not a quick snap, but sort of been lofted back there, and that loses the advantage of being back there. Center is an extremely important position on your football team.
Again, 4 receivers set.
Maritzky over center. Keeps it. Pitch. That fumble was caused by the blitz of number 96, Gerard Haran, who was in on Maritzky and caused that to go errant. So the loss, bringing it back to the 40-yard line, that's going to make it 4th down. And East Brunswick only needed about 2 yards for a first down, and now they find themselves with a 4th and 13. So File will do the kicking. De Palma and Nolan deep for Oldbridge, and I can't emphasize more that these are not players that should be receiving the ball in the air on a punt. They need to kick it away. And a good punt by File allows it to bounce. The ball rolls down to about the 22-yard line. And that's where the Knights will take over with 4 minutes and 4 seconds left to go in the second quarter of play. The Knights holding on to a 14-0 lead. To East Brunswick's credit, they have done a good job of holding down this Oldbridge offense after it looked like they were going to get blown out. Oliveri, as he has all game, calling signals for the Knights. Give is up the middle, and this is number 33. That is Rizzo, who was dragged down by Weinrob, who's starting to feel the effects of making that tackle, limping. Nonetheless, a first down for the Knights on that gain of 30 yards by Rizzo. Mike Rizzo is a 5'11", 185-pound senior. Ball is on the East Brunswick side of the field, on the East Brunswick 48-yard line. Pitch to the left. That's Nolan. And gets about 3 yards in the play. Is tackled by number 11. That's Danilenko, who's played a good game today. Danilenko was the one that caused that fumble when East Brunswick recovered deep in Oldbridge territory a couple series ago. They weren't able to convert. Gain of 3 makes it 2nd and 7 for Oldbridge. Just about 3 minutes left to go in the second quarter. And there's the pitch to Scarano. He's got some room around the right side. Up to make the tackle is Lolello. Scarano is bent over after that, and he goes down. A couple of players limping out there now. This has been a hard-hitting game, as you would expect. But I will say this: Old Bridge is coming off a game having played just 4 days ago. Now I don't know is that a disadvantage?
Absolutely, because back in my South River days, we would play in a playoff game and come back and have to play with, on Thursday, and you really can only practice Tuesday. Wednesday has to be a prep day. So you really only get 2 days, Monday and Tuesday.
Right. Ray, how far back do you go with South River?
I started coaching there the fall of '76 to the fall of '85. And I went to Monroe fall of '86. And I've been at Monroe ever since.
Okay. And who brought you over to Monroe? Coach Wallace?
I guess I brought myself.
Okay.
I was also the head girls basketball coach, and I was looking to move on. At the time, South River's enrollment was going down. I had young kids, and I was looking to move to a district that was growing.
Okay. And Monroe, I have to say it, at least once during this game, able to achieve a 500 record for the first time since 1992. And a couple of bounces here and there, they might have done more. But
I tell people we were a heartbeat away from 7-3 or 8-2.
there you go. And obviously a program that seems to be headed in the right direction.
Yes, Coach Griff does a great job.
Okay, first down after that run by Scarano. Ball's on the 32-yard line. Oliveri pitches to Nolan. Met very nicely. Again, that's that number that we've called on defense, Danilenko, actually catches Nolan for a loss on that play, making it 3rd and 12. Let's call it.
Ball is on the East Brunswick 34-yard line. So still no score in the second quarter. Still 14-0 Old Bridge. We got about 2 minutes and 14 seconds to go in the game. Let's send it back to Mike Mariano at the Highland Park touching game.
Oliveri gives up the middle. There's Rizzo, and he is going to have a free rein to the end zone. Touchdown of 32 yards by Rizzo. That's his first score of the afternoon, and that makes the score now Old Bridge 20, East Brunswick nothing. Going for the extra point will be De Palma. Ray, that was a case where East Brunswick was trying to cover the flanks so much.
They were shaded to the wide side, and they did a little dive back to the weak side, to
Right.
the short side of the field. He hit a seam and was gone.
Good blocking by that offensive line. Set it up. De Palma lifts it through, and that makes the score now 21-0. Score coming with a minute 50, I believe it's 9 left to go in the second quarter. So runs of 55, 33, and 32 yards by Old Bridge. Puts an exclamation mark on this half for the Knights. East Brunswick will be set to receive the kickoff. Bolello, and we have a new face out there now. That's Biles. Biles will be in instead of Weinrob. Deep for East Brunswick. De Palma will kick off. He's been very effective kicking off this afternoon. Actually, Weinrob, I see on the trainer's cart, seated with ice on his ankle. So you got to wonder about his availability. Bolello gathers it in, has some room up the middle, eludes some tacklers, and almost breaks it. Tackle made my number 12, Matt DeMarco. And the Bears will have a minute 51 left to see what they can do. Ball is on the 32-yard line, we'll call it. Mariski. It's a counter. Fumble picked up, and I believe they're going to put it in for a touchdown here. Picked up by number 4, Wayne Timper. It's a counter by Ackerman that went the opposite way, and I don't know who got a hand on that, but
Number 4.
right, that was Timper. Trying to figure out where that ball was picked up. Let's credit that with about a 30-yard touchdown run.
Yes. I was about to comment about a minute or two ago how East Brunswick was hanging in there, no score in the second quarter.
And now look at the scoreboard, huh?
Yes, sir.
You know, I'm looking at the scoreboard. It says 26. Somewhere along the way, we missed an extra point here.
Going for 2.
And there it is, boy. Right down the pipe to Palma. So the 2 points is good, and now the score is back to a 28-0 lead, and that score comes with a minute 40 left to go. Not a heck of a lot for the East Brunswick fans to cheer about at this point.
No. It was, you know, they fought hard in that second quarter. They were moving the ball a little bit. They were making some plays, but I think that last touchdown run really hurt them.
Yeah.
Right before the fumble.
Right. So once again, for the 5th time, De Palma will kick off. Good kick, high and long. Picked up by Lilello. And down there quickly to make the tackle. That's Haran. We've called his number a couple of times, and of course Allen was the first one there. Boy, they get down there on kickoffs.
They sure do. They cover very well.
Yeah. So it looks like East Brunswick will take over on its 21-yard line. Minute 34 showing on the clock. Second quarter of play. It is 28-0 Old Bridge. Scoring actually coming in bunches. The first 2 at the beginning of the first quarter, and the second 2 coming at the latter part of the second quarter. And brought down, and it looks like Mariski might have been injured on that play. He gets up rather slowly.
Well, Rich, actually it's 28-0 in favor of Old Bridge with about 30 seconds to go. Ryan Ackerman of East Brunswick.
Loss on that play of about 2 yards, making it 2nd and 12.
Yards for a touchdown, making it 28-0 in favor of Old Bridge. We've got about, I guess, about 50 seconds to go here in the second quarter, ending the first half.
A run up the middle by Keel Simon. East Brunswick not in a particular hurry. I think they just want to get out of this half.
Absolutely.
Good gain on the play, however, of about 10 yards, making it 3rd and 2.
Scoring so far in the game. Old Bridge led it off with a 55-yard run by Brandon Nolan on the first play from scrimmage in the game. The kick was good by De Palma. And then on their second possession, Anthony De Palma on the second
Mariski.
the first play of their second possession went 35
10 seconds left to go. We're under 10 seconds. Give is up the middle to Ackerman. And I believe that's going to be the last play of this half. And that is it. The gun sounds. And we are at halftime here at this Thanksgiving Day contest between Old Bridge and East Brunswick. The Knights with a 28-0 lead. As we mentioned before, Old Bridge came out, scored quickly on its first 2 possessions, first play of each possession. And then the wind knocked out of their sails after East Brunswick had played fairly well. Rizzo and Timper came in with a minute 59, and actually 19 seconds later, another touchdown, which makes the margin 28-0. So, I don't know, Ray. What is East Brunswick really just wants to save face here in the second half? Do they not?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because after those first 2 plays, for the remainder of the first quarter and almost all of the second quarter till I believe that one touchdown came with like a minute and change, they scored twice.
Yeah. So.
They played well. They played well.
Well, and that's what they have to build on for the second half. Right now, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with the second half kickoff after this. All right, we are back here at J. Doyle Field at East Brunswick, where the visiting Old Bridge Knights hold a commanding 28-0 lead over East Brunswick. And by the graciousness of Mr. Ray Ruez, we have statistics. and that they are somewhat revealing, because if you look at the run ratio versus the pass, you find that Old Bridge is in that wishbone a very dominating running team, and they do have 187 yards on 12 carries. Looks like Rizzo was the leading carrier. Check that. Looks like number 2, Oliveri, had 62 yards.
No, I'm sorry. That was Rizzo, number 33, 2 for 62
There
yards.
you go. Yeah, Rizzo was the leading ball carrier on 2 carries for 62 yards. Nolan had that run of 59 yards. Excuse me, he had 2 runs, one of 55 and 54 yards for 59 total yards. The De Palma, who's done a lot, had that 1 touchdown run of 33 yards, and then Scarano had 4 rushes for 30 yards for a total of 187 yards rushing, and then quarterback Oliveri was 1 for 5 passing for 3 yards. So that's a total of 190 yards total offense for East Brunswick. Quite a variety here. Let's see if I can match up names with numbers. Dmitry Zagov had 3 rushes for 11 yards. Number 27, Brian Ackerman, 2 rushes, 2 yards. Mariski had 7 rushes for 30 yards. However, he did have a couple of losses thrown in there, so you have a different ratio. Number 81, Akil Simon, 2 rushes for 17 yards, and number 26, that's Lololo. We're trying to get that 1 run for 5 yards. In the passing department, Mariski was actually 4 for 8 for 35 yards. However, 2 of those were intercepted, and that's been a problem for East Brunswick. They still are looking for their first points in 2 years in this rivalry, going back to 1998. Bears have been shut out in 99 in the year 2000, so would dearly like to put points on the board. I think they've probably been reminded of that by Coach Borden at halftime. Ray, your thoughts on what we might look at here in the second half? Seems like the game is somewhat out of reach.
It is out of reach. They were in the ball game after the first 2 plays, and they battled them through the rest of the first quarter and up to the almost with 2 minutes to go, just under 2 minutes to go at the half, and they gave that 1 touchdown, and then later on a gentleman picked up the fumble and scored. I think East Brunswick's line is coming so hard, they have to go to the little 3-step drops or the screens and try some misdirection on them for their offense.
Right. And at what point do you kind of call off the horses, so to speak, and start to see some new faces? Looks like Old Bridge is starting with their top guns. From what I can see, you've got Scarano and Nolan back there.
From what I've seen, they'll play right into the 4th quarter unless it really gets ugly this quarter.
Right.
And you'll see the first couple of substitutions are probably going to be seniors who don't play often. And then, obviously, you want to set some kids up for next year.
Right. So kicking off for East Brunswick is number 14, and that is Padraig Bean. We are familiar with him. He just hasn't had an opportunity today to kick the ball. Bean lofts one to the right, caught in the air, and that is number 4. Straight arms his player. That's number 4, Timper. Timper was the one who returned that interception with 1:40 left to go in the second quarter. So the run back is to the East Brunswick 44-yard line, a return of 22 yards. And that is where Old Bridge will start off, actually in really good position. So we are underway in this second half, third quarter of play. Old Bridge with a commanding 28-0 lead. Oliveri gives the ball up the middle to Rizzo. Boy, he is just a truck. Hard to bring down. And a gain of 17 on the play. Another first down for Old Bridge.
Okay, Rich, we're underway here in the 3rd quarter.
Ball resting on the 29-yard line of the Bears.
Brunswick kicked off to Old Bridge and was taken by Wayne
If you just joined us, Old Bridge scoring 2 touchdowns in the early moments of the game on runs from scrimmage, and then a latter part with only 2 minutes left to go in the second quarter. Rizzo scored, and then Timper returned an interception for a touchdown. That's Rizzo again. Boy, I'll tell you what, just a load. He fumbles on the play, bobbled around. Who has it? And I believe East Brunswick's going to come up with it. And Rizzo is actually coming up limping. Looks like he's, you know, these are the things that you worry about if you're Old Bridge.
Right, you're going to have a playoff game coming up.
Exactly, and he's down. He's in an obvious bit of pain.
11 minutes and 6 seconds to go here in the third quarter. Scored 28-0 in favor of Old Bridge. And now over to Mike Mariano at the Highland Park.
And we're going to take a moment here to see how Mr. Rizzo is doing. I'm sure that Bob DeMarco is extremely concerned about this.
He's also one of their better linebackers.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Is it getting colder? I thought it was going to be a warm day.
I believe it is. We are in the shade.
Yeah, but we are in the booth too. But obviously that doesn't do us any good. I'm looking in the stands, and I'm noticing a lot of people shaking hands and hugging each other. And this is always a time when alumni return home from college, home from maybe being out of town, visiting their parents, home for Thanksgiving dinner, and a lot of acquaintances are renewed. I know that's was a big deal at South River. And my understanding, Ray, is that South River is going to renew its Thanksgiving Day game tradition, and they're going to be doing it with Monroe Township.
Yes, we're going to face them next year, which is interesting because I coached the entire staff there at one time.
That is something to say. Rich Marchese, the head coach at South River, and the Rams going for their Central Jersey Group 1 championship.
Their last loss, I think, was to Spotswood early last season.
Okay.
Second or third game.
All right, what do we have here? Looks like an entire new team, Ray, has just entered the game.
And I believe that last injury had something to do with it. They got to get ready to play in a Group 4 final.
They said, we don't want any more.
What, in 10 days?
Yep, they have 10 days. So East Brunswick going against what is presumed the second team off defense for Old Bridge. And a short gain on that play. Coming up from the pile is Ackerman. And we'll say a gain of about 5 yards on that play after East Brunswick recovers the fumble. Weinrob was in the game shortly. He didn't know whether we'd see him after him being injured in the first half of play. 10:20 left to go in the third quarter. Old Bridge with a 28-0 lead. And we do have a new quarterback in there. I failed to mention that before. Quarterback for East Brunswick is number 12, John Warnicki, a junior, 6'1", 163 pounds. And as oftentimes happens with a new quarterback calling different signals, you have a problem with the snap count. East Brunswick penalized 5 yards on that play, so it's now 2nd and 11 for the Bears. Ball is in on the 10-yard line, so they got to watch it. Warnicki with it. Let's pronounce that the right way, Warnicki. Warnicki gets about 4 yards on the play, so he gets back some of the lost yardage. It's about, let's call it about a 3rd and 7 for East Brunswick.
That was an option. He decided to keep it and turn it upfield.
Third and 7 for East Brunswick. Fumble on that play. Who has it? There's a scrum. And I believe Old Bridge did come up with the ball. So the Knights get a turnover deep in East Brunswick territory. Ball is on the 15-yard line. So let's see who they have in on offense. And I see new faces there, right?
Absolutely.
Quarterback is number 9, Mike Walsh. A 5'10", 160-pound junior. Walsh with it, pitched to the left, given to number 26. That was Jared Masterton. However, he was tackled. And actually a touchdown-saving tackle when you look at it, because it seemed like Masterton had some room to run into the end zone.
Yes, he did.
So,
The
go ahead.
quarterback also played defense. I noticed he's one of the regulars on the other side of the ball.
All righty. 5-yard gain brings the ball down to the 10-yard line, making it 2nd and 5 for Old Bridge, looking to extend their 28-0 lead here. Give is up the middle. Still on his feet. That's number 36, Keith Stevens, a 5'7", 180-pound sophomore. And that ball is just shy of the first down marker. So
Gain of 4?
yeah, gain of 4 on the play and making it 3rd and 1, but actually Old Bridge can get themselves a first down without having to score here. So they can play rather conservative. And line moves. And that'll negate that advantage. Legal procedure. So we'll call it 3rd and 6. 7:30 left to go in the 3rd quarter. Clock seems to be moving a lot quicker this quarter. Again, Old Bridge 28-0. All the scoring coming in the first half. Walsh calling signals now. He keeps it. Leans forward. However, he's only going to get about 1 yard on that play. And you wonder if Old Bridge will go for a field goal or just elect to go for it on 4th down here. Probably don't need the 3 points. So it'll be 4th and 4 on the 10-yard line for the Knights.
Okay, 5 minutes and 30 seconds to go.
Here we go.
6 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. Still 20.
Walsh gives up the middle.
Counter
That's
down.
the number 40, and he's going to get a first down. He's just short of the goal line. Number 40, not listed in our program. And a first down, I'll tell you what, that ball, if it's just touching, just short of the goal line, so it's probably going to be a quick play right up the middle here. Walsh gives it up the middle to our unnamed player who scores. And that makes the score now, Old Bridge 34, East Brunswick nothing, as the Knights will go for the extra point. Trotting onto the field to convert is a sophomore, Anthony Werner. I recognize a lot of these names, Ray, from Pop Warner. Old Bridge had a quality Pop Warner midget team about 2-3 years ago, and a lot of these faces are showing up now. Werner boots it and doesn't reach the goalpost, so the point after will not be good. So the point after not being good makes the score, keeps the score 34-0 in favor of Old Bridge. The touchdown coming at the 5:57 mark.
Yeah, I'm a pop. So, all right.
Ball control, ball control.
And that would be the name of the game.
They've had 7 plays and they've ripped off 53 yards. That's averaging 7 yards a carry. That's going to be hard to beat.
Yes. And I'm looking on the sidelines, and Mr. Rizzo there is seated at the bench. Doesn't seem to be the worse for wear.
I doubt it. We'll see Mr. Rizzo again.
And Bob DeMarco takes a walk over there. See how Rizzo is. he's concerned. That's
Interestingly, it looks like they have some of their regulars on the kickoff team, though.
You're right. I see Nolan out there. And you know what? They want to preserve this shutout. And I think if you're going to lose a shutout, it often happens on kickoff returns, things of that nature.
From a coaching standpoint, you very seldom rep what's called a second kickoff or a third. You really have your starters and you spot a few of the kids in.
Right. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Some philosophies, though, coaching philosophies, maintain that you take your best players and you put them on the field in these types of situations. So you've got number 98 there, Allen, who's been, you watch him. Oh, he's doing the kickoff this time. He's usually down the field first, and he still is right here.
Here's number 9.
Scarano drives out. Number 94, Greenhouse for East Brunswick. So East Brunswick will have an opportunity to see what they can do. Ball's on the 35-yard line. About 5:50 left to go in this third quarter of play. Old Bridge 34, East Brunswick nothing. Looks like East Brunswick is missing a player. Wanaraki in, gives to Zagoff up the middle. And the senior fullback gets about 4 yards on the play, maybe 3. Called a gain of 4 on that play. Pitch is to Ackerman. Wow, he was met strongly.
Number 40.
We got to get his name. Again, if for Old Bridge, he's not listed. We got to find out who that player was. Boy, he did a great job of closing. That was actually a loss on the play of 2 yards, so it's 3rd and 8. Whoops, fumble on the play, picked up, grabbed out of midair by number 55, Dennis Kennedy, and Kennedy falls into the end zone. A lineman's dream. A lineman's dream. Kennedy picked that ball up out of the air on a fumble by Warrenicki on his own 35 and rambled into the end zone. And I want to tell you, we probably could sell tapes to him on that one.
Absolutely. As you say, a lineman's dream.
With that, makes the score Old Bridge 40 and East Brunswick nothing. Johnson for the extra point attempt. Excuse me, Werner. It's up and through. Point good. Making the score of 41-0. Touchdown coming with 4 minutes and 17 seconds left to go in this third quarter. Oh boy, it gets even tougher for East Brunswick.
Going to be difficult times to keep your head up now.
Absolutely.
And now let's go to Mike Mariano at Highland Park touchdown.
Alrighty, deep for East Brunswick. You have some new faces. Number 46 is back there. That's Michael Glock. Also back, number 30. You don't have his number. Apologize. And Valello has it. Gets past a couple of runners, still on his feet, and finally brought down by number 87, Sean Williams. And East Brunswick will take over once more. Bears will have a first down on the 28-yard line.
Kev. Yeah. Mid-third quarter. Mission bar 7, Kennedy 7. Ron, we have a question. Sure. Has anyone been arrested yet in that game?
Wernicke was tackled again, fumbled the ball. Fortunately, however, for East Brunswick, ball was recovered. That was by number 39. I apologize once more. The program that we have been given has been a lot of numbers are missing, and again, there's really nothing we can do about this.
2nd and 19.
Yeah, that was a loss of about 9 on that play. And Mr. Wernicke is having his difficulties, primarily because Old Bridge is breaking through that line. Valello gets through. Gain of perhaps a yard on the play. So it'll be about 3rd and 17, we'll call it. Down to 2:30 left to go in the third quarter of play. You know, I'm looking at some of the size differential. Even the players, not the non-regulars for Old Bridge. Number 97, for instance, Francis Barnett, is only listed at 6'1", 195. He looks a heck of a lot bigger than that.
He sure does.
Met at the line of scrimmage is number 39. So it'll be a 4th down for East Brunswick. They will be forced to punt. And I'm going to have to find out who the punter is going to be for the Bears. Normally, File has been the regular kicker. And we'll see who it is this time. '79, that is. And I'm afraid to say it, but we don't have his number either.
So far in the quarter for East Brunswick, we have 5 plays for a total of 7 yards.
Now, there was a timeout called on that play. Again, folks, I apologize for not having numbers on some of these players, but this is the roster we're given. And I know the kids like to hear their names mentioned. Actually, a very, very nice punt there, and a fair catch called by number 26. That was Masterson. So with 1:20 left to go, Old Bridge will take over on their own 45-yard line.
Even with the substitutions, you can see that the Old Bridge players are look thicker. They're
Yeah,
bigger
they really
all
are.
around.
Walsh again, a quarterback. He took over for Oliveri, who sat down after this. Number 40 on that carry for the Knights. That was a gain of about 6 yards on the play. Number 79, by the way, was Denise Raff. Raff Denise, excuse me. Thank you, Peter. Thought we had a scoop there for a second. And we are going to have a measurement here. Just short of the first down. And it'll be third, and we'll call it half a yard. They have under 30 seconds. Actually, clock is running. Walsh, give is up the middle. And number 40 easily getting that first down. Well, we do have, thank you. We do have the names of these players. Number 40 is actually Steve Jengo for Old Bridge. Number 26, we've been mentioning Mayella. I've been pronouncing it Lolello, and I apologize for that. Well, we just got these names. So a first down, and that is the end of the third quarter of play. So Old Bridge will take a 41-0 lead into the fourth quarter of play. Ray, there's not much to say at this point, is there? We're just going to watch it.
Ball control, ball control.
Yeah.
Again, in that quarter, I have 10 carries for 72 yards. That's hard to beat.
Yeah, really. Little math there, 7.2 average. See the coaching staff talking to the Bears as they get on the field for the fourth quarter. Boy, if you're Marcus Borden, this is a season you really want to forget in many respects. But I'll say this much about this East Brunswick team. They never gave up, even though they were outmanned pretty much physically in every game they played. That give is up the middle to Jengo.
Again, one of those counter dives.
Jengo gets a 3-yard gain, making it 2nd and 7. This is Walsh. Up the middle it goes. That's Masterson on the carry. Gets good yardage on the play. And with that first down, the ball's on the 20-yard line. Old Bridge already leading 41-0, looking to extend its lead. That's Jengo with it. We'll give him credit for a gain of about 2 yards, let's call it.
I believe this quarter is going to fly because I think both teams are basically going to keep it on the ground.
Absolutely. And as well they should. Again, quick, short give up the middle. That one was to Masterson. Gain of about 4 on that play, making it 3rd and 5, we'll call it. And I believe that Old Bridge has been given instructions to run between the tackles.
Yep. There was an opportunity for the quarterback to pull that and run around the corner, and he didn't do it.
They're not going to do it. And Walsh keeps it himself.
It's like a quarterback draw.
Actually,
called counter dive.
Right. The way he was brought down, he was just about, I'm going to say, a yard shy of the first down, maybe. Well, let's see. They're going to mark it back. Yeah. Gain of 2 on the play, so it's 4th and a long 2. Old Bridge on about the 12-yard line. Give is to Django.
Just powered it.
Yep, and he drags tacklers with him all the way down to the 5-yard line. And that'll be a 1st and goal for Old Bridge. Knights gearing up for their Central Jersey Group 4 final, championship final against J.P. Stevens on December 1st. Django with it. He already has a touchdown. Ball is just about on the 1-yard line. Ray, you're right about the clock running. Down to 8 minutes.
This is just power football.
Yeah. Who's going to get the touchdown?
Django.
And it is Django on a 1-yard run. Makes the score 47-0. Good old-fashioned whipping here this afternoon now. So Steve Django scoring the touchdown on a plunge. His 2nd touchdown of the afternoon. 7th time that the Knights have hit pay dirt. In for the kick is, I believe that's, let's see who that is. That's Masterson. Excuse me, number 11, that's Werner. And he is good on the point. So it is 48-0. And the touchdown coming with 7:57 left in the 4th quarter.
And again in this quarter, 8 carries for 45 yards. Just a little bit, just under 6. 5.6 yards a carry, roughly.
Ray, put yourself in the position of being a coach for actually either team. Is this a time where you seriously look at players for next year, or I mean, what's the perspective? Is it important that they get playing time on the varsity, or
At this point, not really. My heart feels that both coaches want this game to end soon.
Right.
That's why you even see Brunswick behind. They're still just trying to run the ball. They're using younger kids, obviously, and they're just trying to run the ball and give them some experience.
Sure.
It's tough when you get scores like this. I was involved in South River where people thought we were running up the scores. But you can't ask the second and third team kids not to play their hearts out.
Right. A short kick bounces, picked up, and that is, I believe, number 30 on that. Now, again, we don't have his number, unfortunately.
Kickoff returned by number 30 for East Brunswick.
So the Bears will take over first down on the 32-yard line.
Number 30, John Clark with the kickoff return for East
If I'm
Brunswick.
not mistaken, this might be their first possession of the fourth quarter.
Of the quarter. So
Yes.
Old Bridge actually used 8 minutes worth of time. Check that, they used 4 minutes, which is what you want to do. Ornicki,
Bootleg.
he's going to throw it. Long pass. Actually, number 94 for East Brunswick, Greenhouse, did a good job just to come back and prevent the interception. It falls incomplete.
He was open, was slightly underthrown.
Yeah. So it is 2nd and 10 for the Bears. You hear the band drumming away here, oblivious to the score. Bounced out is Aiello, still on his feet. Nice run, actually. Almost gets a first down. Ornicki with it. He tosses it downfield. Intercepted. That's Masterson with it. That was an invitation to trouble right there. It was thrown blindly into coverage and picked off by Masterson. And once again, Old Bridge takes over after a short-lived couple minutes by East Brunswick. All right, we have another new quarterback now in, and that is Masterson, the guy that just intercepted the pass, will take over a quarterback. Woo! Was that Django with the ball?
Yes. He got clothesline.
Yes, he did. Gain of 1 on the play. It is 2nd and 9 for the Bears. Ball is on, Old Bridge. The ball is on the 38-yard line. Check that.
Masterson.
That was Masterson, yeah. It is Warner that is the quarterback. Warner is the kicker. Second string kicker for Old Bridge is now quarterbacking. I mentioned that it was Masterson. I apologize. So a loss on that play makes it 3rd and 9. Almost 10 yards to go. Up the middle it goes. This is Masterson. And a 4th down. Old Bridge will punt.
Again, Old Bridge is just coming out with the same formation, that
Right.
end over, tight end and split into the same side, wishbone backfield, just diving, powering the ball right at you. This could be the first punt of this half.
Yes. All right, that is Warner who will punt to Aiello for East Brunswick. short kick. It's going to, it looks like it's going to, it's actually picked up.
Tough field position there.
Yeah, well, you know, the difficulty on that one was that maybe if he let it go, it would have bounced into the end zone.
Yes.
But that'll be pointed out to the player. So East Brunswick, having had all kinds of difficulties here this afternoon, finding itself down by a 48-0 margin, is now looking at taking over on its own 5-yard line. So things don't get better. And a timeout called by Warrenicki. Looks like a player for East Brunswick was late coming off the field.
They did that to avoid a penalty.
They really couldn't afford to be brought back any closer to their goal line. Safety here would be absolutely just disastrous.
Looks to me like Old Bridge is going to be a force next year. I keep looking at some of these starters who are juniors and some quality sophomores who are playing now.
Right. Some observation that I'll make is that not only is Old Bridge deep in their skill positions, but also on the line. It seems to me that in watching high school football, if you can return quality linemen, you can really, all the rest seems to fall into place.
Absolutely, it all starts with the line.
Warrenicki gives up the middle. Nailed. Let's see who carried that for East Brunswick.
Number 26.
That was Ayala. Give him a gain of 3 on the play. Make it 2nd and 7. Warrenicki, again, the give is up the middle. We are down to 3:50 left to go in this contest. Old Bridge up 48-zip. Gain of 1 on the play, making it 3rd and 6.
The only difference I've seen with East Brunswick, with Old Bridge, it doesn't matter really, is their defense has been a 40 defense, as a 4-man front as opposed to a 5 in the first half.
Okay.
But the way they're coming across, I guess it doesn't matter.
So we have a 3rd down and 6 here. Warrenicki, let's see who has it. Number 25 here emerges with it. Or is that Ayala? That is Ayala. Excuse me. 30-yard gain on that play. So the young man picks up some good yards. And if there's one glimmer here for East Brunswick, they would love to score. Again, it's the 3rd game where they haven't registered any points against Old Bridge, and I know they would like to do that. So a 1st down for the Bears as the clock continues to roll now. We're under 3 minutes. Warrenicki gives to Ayala. We'll credit him with about a 3-yard gain.
Ayala has been the workhorse. He's carried 6 of their 8 running plays in this quarter.
In this quarter, right. Well, at this time, I know on the East Brunswick side, some of the seniors now are starting to reflect that this is their final game, and I know they did not want to go out this way. That was a quick pitch. Still on his feet.
Number 46, he fumbled the ball.
Right,
44
that's what it
picked
was.
it up.
And number 94, Greenhouse, continued. So positive yards in that respect. It's a third down and about 6. We are down to 1 minute and 25 left to go in the contest. Up the middle. .39, we don't have his number. Under a minute to play here. Could this be the final play of the game? It was a 4th down and 1. It's actually immaterial at this point. There's the give, and I imagine that is going to do it. First down for East Brunswick. Clock says 20 seconds, so we may get one more off. There's the give. Ayala gets 5 on the play, and that will do it. The final play of the game. Old Bridge coming to East Brunswick and winning 48-0 to extend their dominance over the Bears for the 7th game in a row. Tough way to end the season for East Brunswick. They finish at 0-10, which was a real difficult season for the Bears. Nonetheless, they will look forward to the year 2002 with a lot of young faces. Meanwhile, Old Bridge moves on to Central Jersey Group 4 championship versus J.P. Stevens on December 1st. All right, well, that's going to do it, Ray. We're gonna wrap it up real quick here. I know everybody wants to get home to Thanksgiving dinner, so thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
My pleasure. I enjoyed it.
Okay, so the final score: Old Bridge 48, East Brunswick nothing. For Ray Ruez, this is Jim Allinder saying thanks for being with us.